I got myself into a sticky situation in a white van. Not this van though. This is Greece. The incident occurred in Madera Island, Portugal, but the van that I was driving at the time looked very similar to this. So this is a village on the Greek island of Chios, but there is much to explain ahead about what happened in Madera. So here we go. A day of exploring Chios Island, Greece. Hey there, Kalimera. Good morning. I just bonked my head on whatever that is. Is that a lemon? Lemon or lime? Anyways, today is Monday, September 15th. Currently 73 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 23 degrees Celsius. A somewhat unexpectedly hazy, cloudy, cool-ish day back in Greece. Chios or Chios Island, my 67th Greek island. I flew here from Madera, layover in Frankfurt, Germany for the night, and then a flight to Athens and another flight here to Chios. So back in Greece for the 19th time. I know that not everybody will be happy about it, and some will. But I am continuing with my quest to see as many Greek islands as I can, getting close to seeing all of the main ones. Really, the only main ones left for me to see are Samothraki, Forni, and I'm going to Forni from here in 3 days, and Castellarizo are the only ones I can think of. Of course, there are lots and lots of little Greek islands, including Psara, which is right next to Chios here, and I looked into going there, but for one thing, the ferries were complicated. Not many ferries going there, and also there was zero accommodation on booking.com. If there's nothing on booking.com, I'm not quite sure how to find a place to stay. I'm sure that it is possible because there are 400 or 500 people who live there. Must be some guest houses. It looks fairly nice, but anyways, that isn't happening this time. So I just checked out of my place there where I stayed for the past 3 nights, but didn't film it all. Just walked around the town here, and I was focused on editing my videos of Madera. The weather was much nicer the past couple days. It was absolute perfect clear sunny skies, so this is a little bit of a surprise, but still it is pleasantly cool, not chilly at all. It will warm up throughout the day. It is 11 in the morning. Not sure what the forecast is the next couple of days. I checked the forecast before coming here, and it was showing all sun and hotter. But we are getting close to fall, so weather is variable. Anyways, it is going to be a good day for exploring. I have a rental car for the next 3 days, 40 euros. That is $47 US. That beats the hell out of 122 euros on Madera Island. 143 bucks for a rental car there. Actually a van, the cheapest thing that I could find at the airport. And then room price is much better here as well, 65 euros. So I am very glad to be back in Greece. Here is the car, and really looking forward to exploring this island. There is a lot to see. It is the 5th largest Greek island and the 10th largest island in the Mediterranean Sea. Still, it is not really that big compared to, oh man, all this stuff is a little heavy. I got various things to munch and sip on there. And so it is one of the larger islands in the Mediterranean, but still it isn't really that big compared to Crete, Sicily, Sardinia, Evia, etc. So it'll take you an hour to drive to one side and then another hour to drive to another side. And so I have a room reserved for the next 2 nights in the south, and then I am back in the same place where I was the past 3 nights for my last night before I catch the ferry to Forni in 3 days. So there you go. That is the situation. I am always glad to come back to Greece and see more, dive deeper into this country with so much to explore. So let's get out of here and go see what we can see. Although actually first, before getting out of town, let's go see some more of Chios town, because there's quite a bit to see here. Not going to spend too much time, but I want to show the castle, and then I will drive up to the windmills. This is a free parking lot, so going to stay parked here, drop the stuff, and then get out and explore town. All right, so here we are at the pedestrian street. I was very curious to see what it was going to be like on a Monday during the day, because it has been so variable over the past few days. So I arrived on Friday in the evening and checked into my place, which is just a few minutes walk up that way, and then came down here, and it was absolutely jam-packed on a Friday evening. And then I came back the next day, Saturday during the day, around this time, and it was an absolute ghost town. Everything closed up. And so I was kind of surprised Saturday afternoon, or middle of the day or whatever, that it would be so completely dead. And then that evening it was also very quiet. And then it was also completely dead on Sunday. I think later in the evening it got a little bit busier, but it was just interesting, the stark contrast. Friday night slammed, and then the rest of the weekend just dead quiet. So up ahead is the main square, and then that goes into the castle. And so I will walk in there. You just walk in. There's no ticket entrance. Yeah, so it is really happening today. For some reason, weekends, everybody is somewhere else apparently. This is a very local island. Much less tourism than many of the other Greek islands. So I'm definitely getting the sense that it's basically all local people around, especially now, being mid-September. We are outside of the tourist high season. But in general, Chios is just not such a popular tourist destination. So here, the main square. Nice square. There's a whole construction zone going on out there, which looks like it's a project that will make it very nice once it's completed. But for now, it's just all dug up and off limits. But a bunch of statues. I would be very curious to come back here again when that is completed and see what it's like. And the sun coming out. All right. So let's head for the old city castle walls. So big ship there. That is the port right there. Very convenient for when I need to get on the ferry in 3 days. Then I will just walk from my room down to the port. Here we go into the old town. And so you just walk in, and then it is a cool scene right here. There are restaurants and I guess homes that are still lived in. So it is a living castle. Quite unique that they have made it a lively place. And then it just kind of goes into a regular neighborhood here. And it just keeps on going, streets and buildings like that. And then here, a break in the wall, and then more of the wall that way. But I am going to wrap around and make a loop back to the parking lots and show a little bit more along the way. So when I was first inquiring about rental cars, I stopped here. Tons of rental car companies there, right near the port. I stopped into 2 different places and they both quoted around 70 or 80 euros. And I knew that I should be able to get a car for cheaper than that. So then I was walking back this way, stopped at another place, and got the 40 euros deal. So let's now go show the water. Sara Glory. So I guess that is probably going to Sara Island. Kind of a medium-sized ferry, which looks very small compared to this one. Whoa. So is this a ferry or a cruise ship? S.H. Diana. It's not showing the ferry company on the side, which usually they do. So I'm wondering if it's a cruise ship. That definitely looks a lot more like a cruise ship welcome than a ferry. And it's not docked for vehicles to get off, so yeah, I guess it must be a cruise ship. And so then you have this street and sidewalk along here with lots of restaurants. And so these restaurants were busy on Saturday and Sunday evening. So this was where the action was on the weekend. And out there is Turkey. We are very, very close. You can take a ferry over to Turkey from here. A nice sailboat here, Pangea. And then here is where I will head back to the parking lot and get cruising out of town. And so here is quite an interesting mural. I'm not sure what it is depicting. A big sailing ship. Man and a woman. The sea. Very interesting design. Who is this guy? Maybe this explains and then a priest. Huh. Okay, I'm going to walk back to the car and then let's go check out the Chios windmills. Ayos Minas, Kalamoti, Pirgi, Mesta, Karius. Lots of places to see on the island. There is a fair amount of traffic here, which is one of the reasons why I don't tend to prefer the larger islands. But it should get a lot.
At the roundabout, take the first exit.
It should get a lot easier once I get out of town here. On the right there, more of the old city walls. Putting some gas in the tank, as I mentioned in my last video on Madera Island, where I was referencing filling up the gas tank on the Azores, and I ran into a situation with the payments. And we'll finish this in a second. So in Portugal, on both the Azores and Madera, then I had to pump my own gas. Now, it's not a huge deal, I don't mind doing it, but given the choice, I much prefer the fact that they pump your gas for you here in Greece. Everywhere you go in Greece, you just pull up and they deal with it, because there can be some complications with sometimes just trying to figure out how to open the little, hatch to access the gas tank can be an issue. And then paying can definitely be an issue, as I discussed with that situation in the Azores, and various other things can come up when you're dealing with foreign cars, foreign gas station, foreign payment situations, etc. So I like the fact that they pump it for you here in Greece. All right, we are at the windmills and some other old ruins. I guess part of the windmills there as well. So it looks like these are definitely old windmills as well. They date back to the 14th century, 1300s, when the Genoese arrived, and so that would be Italians. and introduced this technology to the island. So these ones falling apart, but those ones in much better shape. Now, I'm sure that those aren't from the 14th century, but I guess the original ones. Out there, a couple of ferries, and beyond, once again, Turkey. And so the sky's looking nice and clear out that way west across the island. The clouds are hovering just right along the eastern edge of the island and out to Turkey, but looks like we should have some nice weather for the day. It would be nice to take a swim. So here are the windmills that have been restored and are in very good condition, including the what do you call the sails. Quite impressive. So, are those the original things? I mean, they aren't actually the original. Oh, I'm just realizing, okay. Because I was thinking, well, they're very small, but now I can see they're partially wrapped up, and so they can be unfurled, and then they would be bigger to catch the wind. So I'm now somewhere very historical, but first got some munchies to munch on for brunch. We have some tomato olive crackers. This is really a random assortment, bought at different times. So I just wanted cheese, but they didn't have just cheese at the market that I was at this morning. And so this is cheese with, I guess, ham to go with the crackers. Let's see, Oat Bites, that is from the airplane. Kit Kat from the airplane. This goes along with what's in the box, some pastries that I bought a couple of days ago, a fruit tart and a cherry cheesecake, another little thing from the plane, some peanuts left over from last night where I had a drink, and some milk. All right, so we are at Daskalo Petra, which translates to Homer's Stone. So Homer, of course, was the 8th century BC Greek poet who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad and the Odyssey describe the Trojan War, the final year of the Trojan War, and then the 10-year journey from Troy back to Greece. And so it is a foundational work of literature in Greek history, and the reason why we know about the Trojan War, which is not 100% confirmed to have actually occurred, but very likely did. I visited the ancient city of Troy, which is in Turkey. I think that was last year. So they confirmed the city does in fact exist. And so Homer's Stone is where Homer would apparently sit and recite his written works, or rather, he orally recited what later became written works. I think it is not 100% certain whether they were actually written down during his lifetime or only recited orally and then written down later. But anyways, he was here and reciting those very works that we know so well and which have shaped our understanding of the history of the region. So there is also a shrine of Cybele, a mother goddess having Phrygian origins and associated with wildlife, the creative forces of the earth, and fertility, worshipped mainly in the Greek cities of Asia Minor, Ephesus, Smyrna, Miletus. So Ephesus also in Turkey, but that region was Greek. Cybele was worshipped at an outdoor shrine of the 6th century BC at Daskalopetra site at the foot of Mount Apos, near a water spring gushing from a cavernous opening on the rock. Okay, so I guess this is it. And this circle was the sanctuary, the sacred site, and then the stone. Okay, but we haven't seen the Homer's stone yet, which is apparently one that looks like it would be good for sitting in. Okay, maybe it's up these stairs here. Okay, this isn't it either. This is the Pasha's fountain. According to references in the 15th century, a Genoese scholar founded Villa Homerica inside a forest of pine trees nearby a spring of crystal clear water. So, Chios Island, along with much of this part of Greece, was occupied by the Ottomans, and a very tragic massacre occurred here on Chios Island in the early 1800s as the Greeks were trying to uprise and claim back their freedom from the Ottoman occupation. And so I think tens of thousands of local Greeks were killed in that massacre. Okay, but where is the Homer's stone? We missed it somehow. Well, I am confused about where the Homer's stone is. There was clear signage for the sanctuary of Cybele and then Pasha's fountain, but seeing nothing for Homer's stone unless it's further up here. Well, doesn't seem like this could be it. So, as I walk back and poke around a little bit more and try to find it, I'm going to tell a story from my last day on Madera Island when I got myself into a sticky situation. So, as I discussed in that video, then there was a little confusion with the parking situation because the parking meter would only take €1.70 exactly or less. It wouldn't take more than that, and I had €4 coins and 30 cents in smaller coins, and so I was trying to put in €3 and it kept spitting it out, and eventually asked somebody and they explained, and so then I put in the €1.30 and had kind of limited time. So I go walking around Funchal and then conclude the video and head back to my rental van, and fortunately no parking ticket. So it is a 22-minute drive from Funchal, the capital and main city of Madera, to the Madera airport. Fortunately, I had extra time. So I plug the airport into Google and start driving through the winding streets. Now, I have to say, Madera is definitely one of the most challenging places I've ever driven. A lot of very narrow winding roads all over the island, and Funchal the capital city is especially confusing. So I'm following the directions, and then I get to a point where I think that I need to turn right onto this narrow street. And so I turn in, and to the best of my recollection, I saw no sign saying do not enter one way. I turn in. It is so narrow that there are no cars parked. It is literally like, 6 inches, a foot maximum on either side of the van is these buildings, just straight all the way down, and it is a long block. So I turn in, and then I am partway down the block, and I see another car coming towards me and realize, oh crap, this is a one-way street, and how the hell am I going to turn the van around here? I see the car coming, and then I can see another one behind it, and so there is a small little pull-out spot just on the right side. I think that it was in front of a garage with a door, but the door is closed, but there is like 3 feet or something like that extra compared to the rest of the alley. Okay, I'm going to walk down and check out the beach. So I quickly kind of jet forwards in order to get to that wider spot and start trying to turn the van around. It doesn't take long before I realize, oh crap, this is not going to work. There is not enough room. I mean, you can turn a vehicle around in a space that is barely larger than the vehicle. I've been in that situation before, once when I also ended up on a one-way street. That was in Greece, and a car was coming. I had to turn around, and you have to do like a lot of, like this, but with a few inches on either side, you can actually turn it around. But I eventually realized this is impossible. It cannot happen. Now, sometimes when you are in a high pressure situation, you get so focused on the thing you're trying to do that you forget about other options. And so I forgot about just trying to back up, which would have been the most direct way to do it. Now, this would have been certainly challenging in a van down a alley that is barely wider than the van, no window through the van in the back, but there was a backup camera, so it certainly could have been done. And then once I got to the other street, backing up there would have certainly been quite difficult, but I could have done it. But I was so focused on trying to figure out how to turn the van around that I didn't think to just back up. And so that car stops, the car behind it stops, more cars start coming up, people are walking along and trying to get by me, because I'm now like, wedged in basically between these walls, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the way out of this, because this is almost looking impossible. And then I came up with a solution, which was to pull into that slightly wider spot, let all of the cars pass, and then zoom out of there before another car could come down the street towards me. And so it was a bit of a challenge getting back straightened out and then getting into that spot, because there was so little room to work with, and so cars are backing up. Fortunately, nobody honking. They were doing their best to be patient there. And so I managed to pull into that little space there. The van is still out in the lane, but there's enough room for cars to pass. So 7, 8 cars had backed up by that point. They pass. I go to pull out, and then I see a car coming down. I wait for it. I go to pull out. Another car starts coming down. I wait for it. And then that one passes, and then I have free clearance. I go for it, jet down, get out of there, and get out of that situation. But this is one reason why I figured it was best to leave a little bit early, just in case, because I knew that getting out of that town could be challenging. And then I end up going a wrong direction at one point. That takes me a few more minutes out of my way. But eventually I get out of town, hit a gas station, fill up the tank, get to the airport, and I am like 30 minutes earlier than I needed to be, or something like that. Okay, so I saw some people at that restaurant and asked them about the Homer's stone, and he said it's right up there with the other things. So let's give it one more try to see it. Okay, there's a woman here. I'm going to see if she might have seen the Homer stone.
I don't know.
Okay, not sure which.
I have
Yes, there was a sign.
for it.
Cybele Sanctuary up there.
English.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay.
From here. Oh, and read.
And somewhere up there.
From here.
Okay, okay. I thought so.
Right.
And right, okay. So she's pointing me back at the Cybele Sanctuary. It should be a rock that has a seed in it. So I wonder if maybe this is the Homer stone, because that is a seat right there. I guess. But I thought this sign didn't mention it all. It just says Shrine of Cybele. According to some interpretations, the name Petra comes from the Italian word scoglio, synonym of rock. Now notice Petra, petrified wood is like rock. So, from the Greek. And so it's sounding like maybe it's actually a mistranslation. According to some interpretations, the name Petra comes from the Italian word scoglio, synonym of rock, which sounded like and therefore was erroneously translated to daskalio, meaning school or teacher in Greek, the latter being a commonly used place name at the innumerable islets and rocky coastal sites in Chios and elsewhere. Due to this fallacy, the outcropping throne-like rocky formation in the center of the shrine and the surrounding low benches were accordingly mistaken and eventually subsumed in the local folk tradition identified as the School of Homer. Hence, an extremely strong myth was created, which appealed to many travelers who visited the island in the medieval and modern times in search of Homer. Okay, I see. So maybe he wasn't actually here. Now, he died on Chios Island, which is in the Aegean Sea, but when I was on Ithaca Island, or Ithaki, then there was the School of Homer there, and that is the exact opposite side of Greece. So I guess maybe it isn't actually confirmed that he was here.